Racewatch 12 with Cade Heidemann is brought to you by Builder's Service.
On this week's episode, not only will we be covering NASCAR's top 3 series as it competed at Bristol Motor Speedway this past weekend, we will also go over racing's triumphant return to Wisconsin, where the Dell's Raceway Park hosted the exciting Icebreaker 100. Let's start off our NASCAR coverage with the Truck Series race from Bristol. Kyle Larson and Brandon Jones make up the special entries for this race, but it'll be the McNally-Hilgeman trucks of Daniel Hemrick and Tyler Ankrum leading the field to green. A couple early cautions would shake the field up enough to allow the faster trucks to get to the front of the field, one being Chandler Smith in the 38. While Chandler was dominant for much of this race, tire wear was becoming a major issue, and in an effort to conserve tires, some drivers would fall back and others would come to the point. Bailey Curry being one such driver who would lead to the end of Stage 2, a huge moment for the part-time driver. 28 to go, battle between Raja Caruth and Corey Heim gets interrupted by Chandler Smith once again looking for the lead. The 38 gets by Caruth without much of a struggle, but Heim was not willing to give up that spot so easily. Unfortunately for the 11, the yellow flew, and when they re-racked, Chandler got the lead yet again and ran away from the likes of Heim and Kyle Larson for his first win back in the Truck Series. While Larson's attempt at a triple victory weekend was thwarted yet again, he still had an Xfinity car to pilot the next day, and this time he would be the car to lead the field to green. The 17 proved early that he had the car to beat. Through Stage 1, Larson is cruising through the field, putting almost half of them a lap down. But he won't see the green and white before the yellow flies for a spun Sheldon Creed, who is then blindsided by Brendan Poole, who with nowhere to go hits Creed's left front at speed, destroying both the 00 and 44. Due to the caution and differing pit strategies, Sam Mayer would be the driver to make it to the green and white first for 10 stage points. As we go through Stage 2, it's back to business as usual, with Larson walking the field big time. If you finished anywhere outside the top 11 to close out Stage 2, you finished a lap down at the hands of Kyle Larson in the 17, who was also 8 seconds ahead of second place defending champion Justin Allgaier. The final stretch would be much of the same. Nobody had anything on Larson. Nothing short of domination on Larson's part as he wheeled the 17 to victory lane. Winning in the Xfinity Series as a Cup driver is one thing, but was that a result Larson could replicate in his own division would be the question on everyone's mind heading into Sunday. Larson would not get to lead the field to green here. Instead, those honors would go to his teammate Alex Bowman alongside Ricky Stenhouse Jr. At the wave of the green, Bowman had no issue clearing the 47 and being the first leader of the day. While the 5 wouldn't get to lead first, Larson was able to make short work of his teammate about 30 laps in to take the lead for himself. Stage 1 would be entirely Larson the rest of the way through. Then to start off Stage 2, while Denny Hamlin had been keeping pace with the 5 at times, during the short run was not one of those times. Kyle Larson cruised away from the field once more, only suffering minor pressure from the Spire cars. First incident-related caution of the day would happen midway through Stage 2 for Shane Van Gisbergen, who got spun off contact with Cody Ware. That would be the only thing of note for the rest of Stage 2, as Kyle Larson would sweep the stages and keep the momentum going through the final stretch. Drivers would attempt to get the better of Larson through different pit strategies, preying on a caution that never came. Larson was inevitable, and without a yellow to impede his progress, lapping car after car, he was able to run off with his second win of the season. Kyle Larson now leading his team in wins so far in 2025. Here are the points as they stand after Bristol. William Byron remains on top still, 30 points above second place Denny Hamlin, who retains his spot up here alongside teammate Christopher Bell in third. Kyle Larson, thanks to his wins, shoots up to fourth, up 2 spots from last week. As far as shakeups to the standings, there's really nothing major of note here. Tyler Reddick is the driver who fell the hardest here, which isn't saying much as he's only down 2 spots in 7th from 5th. Everyone you see here currently has been here since last week and will remain frozen here after next week as the Cup Series has its one and only bye of the season, skipping Rockingham. And now your Wisconsin driver update. It was rather rough for the guys in the Truck Series. Tom Majeski was wiped out in Stage 1 and was scored 33rd after having started 8th, while Luke Fenhaus had a quiet day in the low 20s, starting 21st and ending 22nd. But as a result of Majeski's wreck, is scored as the highest finishing Wisconsin-based driver in trucks this week. It should also be mentioned that staying out of trouble at a track like Bristol is no easy task, especially running in the middle of the field like he was. You'll be seeing both of these guys return next week at Rockingham. In Xfinity, there was just 2 drivers this week. Parker Retzlaff had a fairly mild day, starting 9th and ending in 18th, and up top this week was Sam Mayer, who, although he finished 11th, still managed to lock in a stage win along the way. These two will also return next week at Rockingham, joined by Josh Bilicki, who will once more be piloting the 91 after taking a backseat this past week to CJ McLaughlin. Speaking of Josh Bilicki, though he may have been off from the Xfinity Series, he did get to run on Sunday driving Carl Long's 66. Unfortunately for him, his day ended rather quickly, during Stage 2 for an electrical issue. Still, it was nice to have Wisconsin representation in the Cup Series once more. While we didn't have any racing up here in the Northwoods this past weekend, just a little ways down south, Dells Raceway Park hosted the Icebreaker 100 as part of their Alive for 5 series. The Dells ran 3 different divisions, being the 602 late models, the Midwest Truck Series, and super late models. So let's start off with how the race went for the 602s. In the feature race, Madison Boreen alongside Danny Church Jr. led the field to green. Boreen held strong on the inside for a few laps, but Church was able to make the outside lane work and clear Boreen for the early lead. Church would lead up until the first caution with 24 to go when Adam Hansen goes around for a spin entering turn 2, courtesy of the 22 Brad Worthen. They will both go to the back for the single file restart, where up front, Church's lead is immediately threatened by John DeAngelis Jr. The 51 would be able to get to the 9's inside, but struggle to get himself clear. Church still had something to offer from the outside, and with 8 to go due to some contact, the 9 was clear in the lead once more. Despite DeAngelis' effort to get back to the inside of Church, the 9 was just too good on the straights to let the 51 capitalize. And from here, Danny Church Jr. would win the 602 late model feature as the field wrecks behind them. Moving along now to the second feature of the night, the Midwest Truck Series. Starting up front, leading the field to green was Parker Kane and Grant Griesbach for the 50-lap feature around DRP. Just as we saw in the late models, there was hardly any give by the drivers on the front row. Griesbach and Kane stayed even for 7 laps before Griesbach finally was able to clear the 44, where he's then able to take the line away and lead uncontested. Griesbach hardly had any competition for the rest of the race. The real action happened lower in the field with some almost major calamities that threatened the 60's giant lead. First outside turn 4, where it really looked like disaster was about to strike, and then a few laps later they had trucks going 3 wide in turns 1 and 2. Even with all that, no one could touch Griesbach. Chester Ace made a late run at Griesbach with only a few to go, but it was too little, too late. Grant Griesbach could absolutely dominate the race and win the caution-free Midwest Truck Series feature. We now go on to the main event of the night, the super late model feature. It's a very competitive field here with Penn Sauter and Luke Fenhaus, just to name a couple. Sauter led the field to green alongside the 38 of Jordan DeVoy for 100 laps. The past 2 features, the early leader was the driver starting on the outside, but this time DeVoy was able to clear Sauter using the inside. An early caution almost befalling the field when a stack-up occurred in turn 3 that sent Luke Fenhaus through the grass, where he saves it and continues on. The first caution flew at lap 9 for a car in the dirt. DeVoy maintained the lead up until this point. This time the inside lane did DeVoy no favors as he gets cleared by Jacob Gady in just a couple laps from the outside. The yellow doesn't take long to come back out, and it's for the same reason as the first. Weston Marthalar goes for a ride through the grass off contact from Mike Lightfeld. One more caution would fly as soon as the green came back out for a car stalled on track. They would re-rack again, but just like last time, Jacob Gady would take the lead in quick fashion. Gady would be granted no time to relax though, with Tristan Swanson constantly hounding the 47 from the inside. It would take a few laps, but Swanson would eventually be able to clear the 47 with 71 to go. The next caution would be a big one when at 66 to go, Jordan Thiel's overall good day comes to an abrupt end when Gabe Summers comes in too hot to the back of the 2 and briefly hopped on top of his car, damaging it heavily, taking a wheel off among other things. Back up front at the green, Swanson re-cleared for the lead once more. He would lead this stretch uncontested until the next yellow, and once more it's a major one. Max Kaler gets turned by Randy Sargent, and collected in this would be Ty Fredrickson, who took probably the worst of this wreck. Swanson gets back to the point, but wasting no time on this restart is Luke Fenhaus, who instantly gets second and starts hunting Swanson. One more yellow would fly for the 95 being spun down the back. The field would bunch back up, and after a brief battle, Swanson would retain the lead after some contact with Ryan Farrell. The 80 would fall back, but the 4 was just getting started. Fenhaus would get to the inside of Swanson and clear him without much of a struggle. Once Fenhaus got clear, the race looked as good as over. There was hardly any competition for the 4, but a yellow for another car stalled on track would throw that massive lead right out the window. With the field re-racked, Swanson had one more shot at Fenhaus, but the 91 had nothing for the 4 when the green flew. Fenhaus would run off with the lead yet again. There would be no more cautions from here on out, and Fenhaus would hold his lead entirely uncontested the rest of the way en route to the Icebreaker 100 win at Dells Raceway Park. That's all for this week. For Racewatch 12, I'm Cade Heidemann.